Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, well, we are really wading into some massive news. It's not just dominating tech headlines. It feels like it's redefining corporate strategy itself.
Absolutely.
We're talking about this huge strategic partnership, Nvidia and OpenAI.
Hey, yeah, the ChatGPT makers involving up to, get this, $100 billion.
That number,
Yeah.
$100 billion.
Yeah.
It's genuinely staggering. But it's more than just a big number, right? It's really about building the foundation for future AI infrastructure.
Right.
And our sources today, they suggest the real story isn't just the cash amount. It's the very unique way those funds are being transferred, this circular flow idea.
Circular flow.
And that structure, it's immediately, and I mean immediately, ramped up regulatory pressure. Big time.
Okay, so that's our mission today then. We need to cut through all those zeros, unpack this intricate circular financial thing, understand the computing power involved because it sounds almost unbelievable, and figure out why this specific deal has regulators already thinking about antitrust action. Yeah, the alarm bells are ringing.
So what's the kind of the key takeaway? The headline we need to keep in mind as we start this.
I think the essential point is that this agreement really cements NVIDIA's position. It formally makes them OpenAI's preferred strategic compute and networking partner.
Preferred partner, okay.
So this isn't just, a friendly customer-supplier setup. They are locking arms financially to build the future of compute. It's much deeper.
Okay, so let's tackle the scale first. This $100 billion, it really boils down to just raw computing power, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Reading the sources, it feels like this investment isn't just symbolic. It's explicitly designed so OpenAI can immediately buy NVIDIA chips, deploy massive AI compute.
That's right. It's almost like, capital expenditure dressed up as an investment.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And if you look at OpenAI's goals right now, especially how CEO Sam Altman talks about it, you see why compute is just the absolute top priority.
What's he saying?
He put it very plainly. Just everything starts with compute.
Wow. Okay. That kind of sums up the whole AI race, doesn't it? It's not just software anymore.
Not at all. It's the physical capacity to run the software. He sees this compute infrastructure as like the bedrock for the future economy.
The whole economy.
That's the vision. And the specific goal here with this huge build-out using NVIDIA systems is to, and I'm quoting loosely, create new AI breakthroughs and empower people and businesses with them at scale.
Right, at scale.
And you just can't get that scale without, pouring concrete, wiring up racks and racks of chips. We're talking huge physical infrastructure.
And when we say scale, the project goal is 10 gigawatts.
Yeah.
10 gigawatt of AI computing systems. I mean, that figure is just mind-bending.
It is enormous.
And the $100 billion, it's tied to actually building this out, right? It's conditional.
That's a really crucial detail of how this investment works. It's not just one big check.
Okay.
NVIDIA invests the money progressively, bit by bit, as OpenAI actually deploys each gigawatt of capacity.
So stage by stage, tied to hitting these huge physical milestones.
Exactly, a conditional investment.
And the first phase, the sources say deployment target is second half of 2026, using NVIDIA's Rubin platform. Now, for listeners who might not know, what's the significance of Rubin specifically?
Good question. It's significant because Rubin isn't just, another server chip. It's NVIDIA's next generation platform, designed explicitly for extremely large-scale AI. Think massive training runs.
Oh, yeah?
It needs unprecedented power, super high-speed interconnects. It's engineered from the ground up for these multi-gigawatt deployments, the chips, the networking, the whole system. It's built for this kind of energy-hungry AI creation.
Really speaks to the ambition. But let's try and bring those gigawatts down to earth a bit. 10 GW sounds astronomical. What does that actually mean in terms of real-world power use?
Yeah, this is where the number stops being just abstract finance and becomes a real infrastructure challenge.
Right.
So 10 gigawatts, that's enough compute capacity to run maybe 4 to 5 million advanced GPUs, the graphics cards that power modern AI.
4 to 5 million GPUs, okay.
And to put that in perspective against normal electricity use, 10 GW is roughly the same amount of electricity needed by over 8 million average U.S. households.
Wait, 8 million U.S. households?
8 million.
Just for one AI company's future build-out. That completely reframes things. The competition isn't just code. It's about securing physical power, energy.
Precisely. You could argue the winner of the AI race might just be whoever secures the most energy and the most efficient way to use it for compute.
Which leads us perfectly to the money mechanism. This is where it gets, Ingenious, maybe, but also potentially problematic. This circular flow of funds. How does this work, this two-step thing?
Right, this circular structure is really the defining bit of the whole deal. It's two transactions, but they're tightly linked. They basically happen together.
Okay, walk us through it. Step one.
Step one, Nvidia sends the investment money, the $100 billion, rolled out over time to OpenAI. But crucially, they get non-voting shares back.
Non-voting. Okay, why is that important?
We'll get to that. But it means Nvidia has financial upside if OpenAI takes off, value-wise.
Okay, so Nvidia invests, gets non-voting shares. Step two.
Step two is the immediate snapback. OpenAI takes that cash, the investment from Nvidia, and uses it to buy Nvidia's chips, systems, networking gear, everything needed for that 10 GW build-out.
So the money just flows right back to Nvidia.
Pretty much. It circles from Nvidia's investment arms straight over to their sales department.
Yeah.
And this structure, it lets Nvidia hit two big goals at once. One, get a huge financial stake in arguably the leading AI developer. And two, guarantee themselves a massive long-term customer for their high-end hardware.
It certainly sounds like a brilliant move for Nvidia. Guaranteed revenue, hedge on future success. But back to the non-voting shares. Why specifically non-voting? Why not take more control?
Well, that detail seems aimed squarely at minimizing regulatory headaches.
Okay, how so?
By only taking non-voting shares, Nvidia keeps that financial exposure. They profit if OpenAI does well. But they sidestep the much tougher scrutiny that comes with taking a controlling stake. Or even just voting rights.
Right, because that would look more like a merger.
Exactly. Regulators might see it as blurring the lines, potentially making antitrust concerns far more immediate. This structure aims for financial upside while, limiting the appearance of operational control or collusion.
But doesn't this tie OpenAI incredibly tightly to Nvidia for its most critical resource? I mean, yes, it solves the funding issue, but isn't there a huge risk of vendor lock-in down the road?
That's definitely the strategic bet OpenAI is making. The sources do mention this partnership is meant to be complementary to existing deals, like with Microsoft Azure and other cloud providers.
Complementary.
Still, this direct-owned infrastructure is enormous, committing $100 billion of future capacity to one hardware partner.
Yeah, that significantly limits your flexibility to switch to competitors later, like AMD or maybe Google's TPUs.
So they're betting Nvidia stays dominant for a long time. They're essentially doubling down, banking that Nvidia's hardware leadership will continue long enough to make this lock-in worthwhile.
Which brings us right to the friction point. Section 3. The regulatory storm clouds gathering. Why is this circular mechanism, which, looks like smart business on one level, such a lightning rod for antitrust regulators?
Because regulators are looking beyond the clever financial footwork and asking about the impact on competition.
Right.
This circular flow where Nvidia basically bankrolls its own massive sale to one of its biggest potential customers, it fundamentally risks distorting the market. It's not just guaranteeing a customer, it potentially acts as a way to exclude competitors.
How does it lock out others, like AMD or Intel?
Well, think about it. If you're AMD or Intel trying to sell your next-gen AI chips, you run into a massive wall at OpenAI. Why? Because OpenAI already has $100 billion lined up, non-dilutive capital, specifically earmarked to buy Nvidia gear.
So the money's already spoken for.
Exactly. This setup potentially removes real competition for who might be the single largest buyer of AI hardware globally.
There was some analyst commentary on this, Bernstein, Stacy Raskin, right? He noted the deal helps both companies hit their goals for compute.
Yes, they're aspirational goals.
But he also said, circular concerns have been raised in the past, and this will fuel them further. That sounds like a warning.
That phrase, fuel them further, is key. It tells you regulators were already worried about big tech and AI infrastructure concentration.
So this isn't happening in a vacuum?
Not at all. They're deeply concerned about potential monopolies or oligopolies forming in AI. So when the dominant chip maker essentially merges its funding with the dominant AI software maker, even indirectly like this, well, it confirms all those fears about market concentration.
So the worry isn't just about, say, price fixing, the classic antitrust issue. It's more about creating this integrated structure.
Yes.
That makes it impossible for new rivals to even get in the game.
Precisely that. It raises the barrier to entry so incredibly high. It could stifle competition for the very foundation of the AI economy. It doesn't just help Nvidia and OpenAI. It risks freezing the competitive landscape for years.
It positions Nvidia not just as a seller, but as this indispensable financial and technical partner, Hard for anyone else to break that bond.
Extremely hard. The scale of the money, combined with this structural lock-in, it just pushes it right into the antitrust spotlight. It really shows the fight for AI compute isn't just technical, it's deeply regulatory and financial too.
And if regulators do challenge this, which sounds like a real possibility.
It could seriously slow things down, slow the infrastructure build for OpenAI, maybe force a rethink of these kinds of integrated deals across the whole sector. Yeah, everyone's watching this one very, very closely.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize all this. If we boil down this whole deep dive for the listener,
Yeah.
what's the core lesson here?
I think the main takeaway is this deal isn't just about cash changing hands or a big chip order. It's really a structural play by two giants,
Yeah.
trying to lock in access to the absolute bedrock of future AI, that compute infrastructure, while at the same time trying to navigate, maybe even test the boundaries of modern anti-competition law. They're moving so fast and at such a scale that it puts huge pressure on energy grids and legal systems.
And the cost is immense. Financially, yes, but also environmentally, potentially. We started with the sheer scale of the money, $100 billion. But we need to end on the scale of what it builds. That 10 GW project needing the power equivalent of over 8 million U.S. homes.
It's a truly staggering commitment environmentally and infrastructurally. Yeah.
Which leaves us with maybe this final provocative thought for you, the listener. Given these vast escalating power needs this literal gigawatt race for AI compute, how is this tech competition going to fundamentally reshape global energy priorities, infrastructure demands, things like grid stability, pushing renewable energy? How does this change everything over the next decade?
A huge question to ponder.
Something to think about as you see more headlines on AI infrastructure. Thanks for walking us through all this really fascinating stuff.
My pleasure. It's a big one to watch.